Ladies and gentlemen, let me share something simple but powerful with you tonight. Nobody can become successful for you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your mentor, not your government, not your circumstances. Nobody can do it for you. Now they can help you. They can teach you. They can inspire you. They can open doors for you. But they cannot walk through those doors for you. That part is your responsibility. You see, we live in a world where many people are waiting for motivation, waiting for opportunity, waiting for someone to believe in them, waiting for the economy to improve, waiting for luck. But success does not belong to those who wait. Success belongs to those who decide, and decision is a personal act. If I want better health, you cannot exercise for me and transfer the results. If I want wealth, you cannot discipline your spending and deposit prosperity into my account. If I want wisdom, you cannot read books and somehow install knowledge into my mind. Personal development is personal. That's why it's called personal growth. Now here's what's fascinating. We admire successful people. We study them. We listen to them. We read their books. But sometimes we misunderstand something very important. We think that being around success is enough. But proximity to success is not possession of success. You can work for a millionaire and still be broke. You can live next to discipline and still be lazy. You can attend seminars and still refuse to change. Success is not contagious. It is intentional. Let me tell you something I learned early in life. The day you take full responsibility for your life is the day your life begins to change. As long as you blame, you remain the same. If you blame the economy, you stay stuck in the economy. If you blame your family, you stay stuck in your past. If you blame your boss, you stay stuck in your job. But the moment you say, my life is my responsibility, something powerful happens. You regain control, and control is the birthplace of progress. Now don't misunderstand me. We all face difficulties. We all face setbacks. We all face disadvantages. But your starting point does not determine your ending point. Your decisions do. You may not be responsible for the storm, but you are responsible for your sail. Success is not something someone hands to you. It's something you build day by day, choice by choice. Every successful person you admire made a decision at some point. A decision to wake up earlier. A decision to learn more. A decision to work harder. A decision to become more disciplined. A decision to grow. And growth is painful sometimes. It's painful to wake up when you want to sleep. It's painful to save when you want to spend. It's painful to study when you want entertainment. It's painful to practice when you want comfort. But here's the choice: short-term comfort or long-term success. Nobody can endure that pain for you. If someone else could do the hard part for you, the world would be full of champions. But champions are rare because responsibility is rare. Let me give you a simple formula for things to change. You must change. Your income will rarely exceed your personal development. Your results will rarely exceed your discipline. Your success will rarely exceed your commitment. You don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. And here's another powerful truth: nobody owes you success. The marketplace does not reward need, it rewards value. If you want more money, become more valuable. If you want more opportunity, become more skilled. If you want more respect, become more disciplined. Success is an inside job before it becomes an outside reward. And the good news? That means it's within your control. You don't need everyone's approval. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need a miracle. You need commitment. You need to look in the mirror and say, from this day forward, I accept responsibility for my life. When you do that, excuses lose their power. Complaints lose their energy. And action takes their place. Let others make excuses if they choose. Let others blame the system. Let others wait for rescue. But you make a decision. Because the truth is simple. Nobody can read the books for you. Nobody can discipline your mind for you. Nobody can manage your time for you. Nobody can develop your skills for you. Nobody can build your character for you. And most importantly, nobody can become successful for you. Your future is not decided by your past. It is decided by your present decisions. Small disciplines repeated daily create extraordinary results over time. It's not one giant leap. It's small, consistent steps. A little reading every day. A little saving every week. A little improvement every month. A little courage every time fear shows up. That's how fortunes are built. That's how leaders are made. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. Success is not about luck. It's about responsibility. And once you accept that no one can do it for you, something empowering happens. You stop waiting. You start acting. You stop hoping. You start preparing. You stop wishing. You start working. So tonight I challenge you. Take ownership of your life. Take ownership of your goals. Take ownership of your habits. Take ownership of your attitude. Because when it's all said and done, the greatest gift you can give yourself is responsibility. And the greatest tragedy would be to live your whole life expecting someone else to build your dream. They can cheer for you. They can advise you. They can support you. But they cannot become successful for you. That is your assignment. That is your opportunity. That is your privilege. And if you accept it, if you truly accept it, your life will never be the same. Let me tell you something that will change your life if you truly understand it, and More importantly, if you live it. The day you accept full responsibility for your life is the day your life begins to improve. Not the day you get lucky, not the day you meet the right person, not the day the economy shifts, not the day someone finally recognizes your talent. The day you decide that your results belong to you. That is the turning point. You see, responsibility is not a burden. It is a privilege. But most people treat it like a weight instead of a gift. It's easy to blame. Blame is convenient. If the economy is bad, that's why you're struggling. If your boss is unfair, that's why you're stuck. If your parents didn't guide you properly, that's why you're behind. If you didn't grow up with money, that's why you don't have it now. Blame is seductive because it removes pressure. But it also removes power. When you blame, you give control away. You are saying, my life is in someone else's hands. And if your life is in someone else's hands, you will always be waiting for someone to change, waiting for better conditions, waiting for rescue. Successful people don't wait for rescue. They assume command. Now don't misunderstand me. There are real challenges in life. There are disadvantages. There are setbacks that knock the wind out of you. But here's the question. Are you going to let those circumstances decide your future? Or are you going to decide despite them? Responsibility means you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what can I do about it? That one question changes everything. If your income isn't where you want it to be, you can complain about the company or you can improve your skills. If your health isn't where you want it to be, you can blame your schedule or you can change your habits. If your relationships aren't where you want them to be, you can blame others or you can improve your communication. Responsibility shifts the focus from outside to inside. And here's the powerful truth. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control what you do next. That's where your power lies, in your response. Life will test you. Life will challenge you. But it cannot defeat you unless you surrender responsibility. The moment you say, there's nothing I can do, you've stepped away from your own strength. Personal responsibility says, there is something I can do. Maybe it's small. Maybe it's difficult. But there is something. And small actions, repeated consistently, lead to big changes. Now here's something fascinating. Most people want success, but they don't want accountability. They want the reward without the ownership. They want the harvest without planting the seed. But life doesn't work that way. You don't get what you hope for. You get what you take responsibility for. If you want better finances, you must take responsibility for your spending. If you want a better career, you must take responsibility for your performance. If you want confidence, you must take responsibility for your preparation. It's not dramatic. It's not glamorous. It's simple and powerful. When I was younger, I used to think that if I just worked hard enough, someone would notice and fix everything for me. I thought success was something that would eventually happen if I just waited long enough. But I learned that success doesn't visit, it responds. It responds to effort. It responds to discipline. It responds to responsibility. The moment you say, I am responsible for my results, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming an architect of your future. And here's what's exciting. Once you accept responsibility, improvement becomes predictable. Because if it's your responsibility, it's also within your influence. Think about that. If someone else were responsible for your success, you would have to depend on their mood, their discipline, their commitment. But since it's your responsibility, progress becomes a matter of your own decision. And decision is powerful. You may not be able to change your past, but you can change your habits. You may not be able to change yesterday's mistakes, but you can change today's choices. Responsibility doesn't mean you are perfect. It means you are willing to correct yourself. It means when you fall short, you don't make excuses. You make adjustments. It means you fail. You don't blame. You learn. It means when you lose, you don't quit. You refine your approach. That's maturity. That's growth. That's leadership. And let me tell you something else. The marketplace rewards responsibility. Employers reward responsibility. Relationships thrive on responsibility. Trust is built on responsibility. When people know you don't make excuses, they begin to respect you. When people know you own your mistakes, they begin to trust you. When people know you handle your commitments, they begin to rely on you. Responsibility builds reputation, and reputation opens doors. But the greatest reward of responsibility is internal. It's confidence. Because when you know you are responsible, you know you are not helpless. And there is nothing more dangerous, in a good way, than a person who refuses to blame and chooses to act. So here's the challenge. Stop waiting for someone to fix your life. Stop hoping someone will hand you the breakthrough. Stop believing someone else can become successful for you. Take ownership of your mornings. Take ownership of your habits. Take ownership of your learning. Take ownership of your finances. Take ownership of your attitude. Because when you do, something remarkable happens. Your excuses shrink. Your confidence grows. Your discipline strengthens. Your results improve. And it all begins with a simple, powerful decision. My life is my responsibility. Once you say that, I mean it. You have already stepped onto the path of success, and no one can take that away from you. Let me share with you one of the most important truths about success and income. Your income rarely exceeds your level of personal development. That is not a criticism. It's not a complaint. It's a principle. You see, the marketplace is not emotional. It doesn't pay you because you need money. It doesn't reward you because you are sincere. It doesn't compensate you because you are trying hard. The marketplace pays for value. And value is something you become before it is something you receive. If you want to earn more, you must become more. That is the formula. Now, this is exciting news because it means your financial future is not controlled by luck. It is not controlled by your past. It is not even controlled by your current job. It is controlled by your commitment to growth. Think about it. If someone earns twice as much as you, is it because they need twice as much? No. It's because they have developed skills, knowledge, discipline, or leadership ability that the marketplace values at a higher level. The key is not to wish for a better income. The key is to qualify for it. And qualification comes from personal development. When I first learned this, it changed my life. I used to think, if I had a better opportunity, I'd make more money. But I discovered that opportunities are attracted to the person you become. If you become more disciplined, you attract better results. If you become more knowledgeable, you attract better conversations. If you become more skilled, you attract better positions. Success is not something you chase. It is something you attract by becoming an attractive person. Attractive in character, skill, mindset, and work ethic. Let's talk about skills. If you want a higher income, what skills are you developing? Communication, leadership, problem solving, technology. The world is constantly changing, and those who grow with it increase their value. Those who stop growing slowly become irrelevant. You cannot stay the same and expect your income to grow. That would violate the law of value. And then there is discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It is easy to say, I want more. It is harder to wake up earlier, to study after work, to practice when you are tired, to save when you want to spend. But discipline is what transforms desire into qualification. Your income reflects not just what you know, but what you consistently do. If two people have the same knowledge, but one is more disciplined, that person will eventually earn more. Why? Because discipline multiplies talent. And then there is mindset. If you believe that wealth is only for the lucky, you will unconsciously sabotage your own growth. If you believe that successful people are dishonest, you will resist becoming successful yourself. If you believe that you have limits you cannot break, you will never test your potential. Your beliefs shape your behavior, and your behavior shapes your results. That's why personal development always begins on the inside. Read books that stretch your thinking. Listen to ideas that challenge your assumptions. Spend time with people who inspire you to rise higher. Guard your mind carefully, because your mind is the control center of your future. Here is something else to consider. Income is a reflection of contribution. The more people you help, the more problems you solve, the more value you create, the greater your reward. If you want to double your income, find a way to double your contribution. Learn how to serve more people or serve the same people at a higher level. The person who can solve bigger problems earns bigger rewards. Now, some people say, but I work hard. And I respect hard work. Hard work is honorable, but hard work without growth will keep you in the same place. Imagine climbing a ladder. If the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, climbing faster won't help. You must improve your strategy as well as your effort. Personal development helps you lean your ladder against the right wall. It teaches you to think strategically, to communicate effectively, to manage your time wisely, to handle money intelligently. And here is the beautiful part. No one can stop you from improving yourself. They may control the economy. They may control the company. They may control policies, but they cannot control your decision to read one more chapter, to practice one more hour, to learn one more skill. Self-education is a lifelong advantage. Formal education may get you a job. Self-education can build you a fortune, but it requires initiative. No one is going to force you to grow. No one is going to beg you to become more valuable. That decision is yours alone. And remember this, growth is often uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to admit you need improvement. It is uncomfortable to invest in courses, books, and training. It is uncomfortable to practice when others relax, but discomfort is temporary. Growth is lasting. Would you rather have the pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Because one costs you now and the other costs you later. With interest. When you commit to personal development, you are investing in the one asset that cannot be taken away from you, yourself. Jobs can disappear, markets can crash, companies can close. But what you have become stays with you. Skills travel. Knowledge travels, character travels. If you develop yourself into a person of high value, you will always find opportunity. Even if one door closes, another will open because you have become qualified. So instead of asking, why don't I earn more? Ask, how can I become more? Instead of wishing for a raise, work on becoming the kind of person who commands one. Instead of hoping for better circumstances, focus on better preparation. Because success is not about luck. It is about alignment, aligning your value with your ambition. And here's the promise. If you work harder on yourself than you do on your job will reward you in ways you cannot imagine. Invest in your mind. Invest in your skills. Invest in your character. Invest in your discipline. Because in the end, your income is not a mystery. It is a mirror. It reflects who you are becoming. And the most exciting part of all, you have the power to increase that value starting today. Success is not an event. It is not a breakthrough moment, not a lucky connection, not a single dramatic decision that changes everything overnight. Success is a process. And that process is built on small disciplines practiced every single day. Let me say it another way. Success is simply a few simple disciplines practiced consistently over time. Now that doesn't sound very exciting. It's not flashy. It won't trend on social media, but it is powerful beyond measure. The challenge is not that success is complicated. The challenge is that it is simple, and simple is easy to ignore. It's easy to ignore reading 10 pages a day. It's easy to ignore saving a small percentage of your income. It's easy to ignore practicing your craft for an extra 30 minutes. It's easy to ignore going to bed on time and waking up early. None of those actions seem life-changing in the moment. But let me tell you something about life. It responds to accumulation. Just like errors in judgment, repeated daily lead to failure. Small disciplines, repeated daily, lead to success. If you read 10 pages a day, that's about 3, 6, and 50 pages a year. That's dozens of books. Do you think that might change your thinking? Of course it will. And if your thinking changes, your decisions change. And if your decisions change, your results change. But no one can read those pages for you. No one can wake up early for you. No one can practice your craft for you. That's where personal responsibility meets daily discipline. You see, motivation is powerful, but it is temporary. You can attend a seminar and feel inspired. You can watch a video and feel energized. But if that energy does not translate into daily action, it fades. Discipline, however, does not rely on emotion. Discipline relies on commitment. You don't wake up early because you feel like it. You wake up early because you decided it matters. You don't save money because it's fun. You save money because you understand the future is coming. You don't practice because it's always exciting. You practice because excellence demands repetition. And here's something important. The pain of discipline is small compared to the pain of regret. Skipping one workout doesn't seem like much. Skipping reading today doesn't seem serious. Overspending this week doesn't feel dangerous. But life compounds. Just like interest in a bank account, your habits either compound for you or against you. Imagine two people. One chooses small disciplines each day, reading, learning, saving, improving. The other chooses small neglects, procrastinating, overspending, avoiding growth. At the end of one day, there is no visible difference. At the end of 1 week, still no major difference. At the end of 1 year, the gap begins to show. At the end of 5 years, the difference is dramatic. The difference was not created in a single moment. It was created in daily choices. That's why success is predictable. If you plant corn, you don't get wheat. If you plant discipline, you don't get failure. The harvest follows the seed. The problem is that we often overestimate what we can do in 1 month and underestimate what we can do in 5 years. We want transformation instantly. But greatness is grown slowly. Think about mastery. A great speaker did not become great in one speech. A great athlete did not become great in one practice. A great business leader did not become great in one decision. They showed up every day, even when they were tired, even when they were discouraged, even when no one was watching, especially when no one was watching. Because discipline is what you do when applause is absent. And here's something powerful. Discipline creates freedom. At first, discipline feels restrictive, feels like you're forcing yourself. But over time, discipline produces results, and results create options. Financial discipline creates financial freedom. Health discipline creates physical freedom. Learning discipline creates intellectual freedom. The person who lacks discipline is controlled by impulse. The person who develops discipline controls their direction. And remember, discipline is not punishment. It is training. When you train your mind to focus, you become sharper. When you train your body to endure, you become stronger. When you train your habits to align with your goals, you become unstoppable. The key is consistency. You don't need to be extreme. You don't need to work 20 hours a day. You don't need to be perfect. You simply need to be consistent. Consistency beats intensity. It's better to study 30 minutes every day than 5 hours once a month. It's better to save a little every paycheck than to wait for a big opportunity. It's better to improve slightly each day than to attempt a massive overhaul and quit. Success loves rhythm. Create a rhythm of improvement, a rhythm of learning, a rhythm of discipline, and guard your habits carefully, because your habits are shaping your future quietly. Every day you are either building your dream or building your regret. There is no neutral day. Now here's the beautiful part. You don't have to change everything today. You just have to start. Start reading, start saving, start practicing, start improving. Make the commitment small enough that you can keep it, but meaningful enough that it moves you forward. Then protect that commitment like it is gold. Because it is. Over time, those small daily disciplines will build confidence. Confidence will build momentum. Momentum will build results. And results will reinforce discipline. That's the cycle of success. But remember this, no one can maintain those disciplines for you. They can encourage you. They can remind you. They can inspire you. But when the alarm clock rings, when the book sits unopened, when the temptation appears, the decision is yours. And that decision, repeated daily, shapes your destiny. Success is not mysterious. It is methodical. It is simply the result of doing what you know you should do, even when you don't feel like doing it. Small steps, small improvements, small disciplines, practiced daily. That is how ordinary people become extraordinary. And it all begins with what you choose to do today. Let me share something that separates average from exceptional, ordinary from extraordinary, stuck from successful. Excuses keep you average. Decisions make you powerful. Now that may sound simple, but it is one of the most life-altering truths you will ever understand. Excuses are easy. In fact, they are automatic. When something goes wrong, the mind immediately looks for protection. It looks for something to blame. The weather, the economy, the boss, the competition, the lack of time, the lack of money, the lack of support. Excuses are a form of self-defense. But here is the danger. Every excuse you make builds a wall between you and your potential. You can have reasons or you can have results. Rarely both. Successful people are not people without problems. They are people without excuses. They feel fear. They experience doubt. They face setbacks. But instead of explaining why something can't be done, they decide it must be done. And that is where power enters the picture. Decision is power. The moment you decide, you cut off alternatives. You burn the bridge of retreat. You move from I'll try to I will. Trying leaves room for escape. Deciding creates commitment. Think about the language people use. I'll try to wake up early. I'll try to save money. I'll try to work on my goals. Trying is polite. Deciding is powerful. When you decide, you shift your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who hopes. You see yourself as someone who acts. Now let's talk about excuses for a moment. Excuses are subtle. They don't always sound negative. Sometimes they sound reasonable. I don't have enough time. I'm not ready yet. I need more resources. I'll start next month. But time is never found. It is made. Readiness is rarely perfect. Resources are attracted to action. And next month often becomes next year. The cost of excuses is invisible at first. One excuse doesn't ruin your life, but repeated excuses build a habit. And habits build character. And character builds destiny. If you practice explaining instead of executing, you condition yourself to avoid responsibility. And avoidance weakens confidence. Because deep down, you know when you are capable of more. There is a quiet voice inside you that knows when you are settling. And every time you silence it with an excuse, you lose a little strength. But when you make a decision, a real decision, something shifts. You may still feel fear, but you act anyway. You may still feel uncertain, but you move anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else is more important than fear. That's what separates leaders from followers. Leaders decide to improve. They decide to change. They decide to take responsibility. They decide to pay the price. And once the decision is made, they organize their life around it. Here is something important. You don't drift into success. You drift into mediocrity. Success requires intentional movement. It requires conscious decisions repeated over time. No one accidentally becomes disciplined. No one accidentally becomes wealthy. No one accidentally becomes excellent. They decide. And here is the beautiful part about decision. It gives you back control. As long as you are making excuses, you are reacting to life. When you make decisions, you are directing life. You stop saying, let's see what happens. And you start saying, here's what I'm going to make happen. That's powerful. Imagine two people with the same background, the same education, the same opportunities. One makes excuses. The other makes decisions. 5 years later, their lives will look completely different. Not because of talent, not because of luck, but because of choice. Decision creates momentum. The first decision may be small. Decide to wake up 30 minutes earlier. Decide to read 10 pages a day. Decide to save 5% of your income. Decide to exercise 3 times a week. Small decisions build confidence, and confidence makes bigger decisions easier. But if you refuse to decide, life will decide for you. And life does not always choose in your favor. Indecision is a decision to remain the same. Excuses are comfortable in the short term. They protect your ego. They justify your delay. But long term, they steal your future. On the other hand, decisions may be uncomfortable at first. They demand change. They require discipline. They expose you to risk. But they build strength. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in your life probably began with a decision. The decision to apply. The decision to move. The decision to start. The decision to quit something that was holding you back. You didn't feel fully ready. You simply, and that choice created growth. The power of decision is that it transforms intention into action. Many people intend to succeed. Few decide to succeed. Intention is a wish. Decision is a commitment. When you decide, you no longer negotiate with yourself every day. You don't wake up and debate whether to follow through. The matter is settled. That is freedom. So if you want to rise above average, start eliminating excuses from your vocabulary. Replace "I can't" with "how can I?" Replace "it's too hard" with "what would make it easier?" Replace "someday" with "today." Train yourself to look for solutions instead of explanations. And remember, you don't need perfect conditions to decide. You just need courage, because once you decide, resources appear. Energy increases, creativity awakens, decision activates potential. Excuses suppress it. In the end, your life will not be shaped by your circumstances. It will be shaped by your decisions about those circumstances. You cannot control everything, but you can control your response. You can decide to grow. You can decide to act. You can decide to lead. You can decide to change. And when you do, you step into power. Excuses will always be available. Opportunity will not. So choose wisely, because the quality of your decisions determines the quality of your life. And nobody, absolutely nobody, can decide for you.